Hi, I'm Nick Shell, a certified Enneagram coach, and I would like to talk about the weird version of a perfectionist that I am. I'm writing a book about Enneagram. I'm learning a lot about myself in the year that I've been doing this, and I really appreciate seeing myself in a new light. But here recently I realized, okay, so I'm Enneagram 9, dominant wing 8, but I still have a 1 wing. So what does that look like? Because I feel like my entire life I've never identified as a perfectionist because I openly admit I'm not perfect. I actually struggle with even feeling like I'm a good person. So how in the world could I be a perfectionist if I don't even feel like I'm a good person? I'm just trying to not be a bad person. And I guess that sheds some light on how I am a perfectionist. In my struggle and in my goal to not be a bad person, it's a version of being a perfectionist. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm trying to not be bad. I'm trying to be good. And ultimately what happens is I create these standards of rules and beliefs for myself, not so much for other people. As an Enneagram 9, I legitimately, truly just don't really care what other people do because it typically doesn't affect me, especially what other people believe. It just doesn't have an effect on me. But for myself, privately, I keep all kinds of rules for myself and how I want to live. In a way, as the Bible talks about, living above reproach. I don't want it to be where someone can say, well, look, remember when you said that thing or you did that thing? I mean, I have a whole lifetime of like really never even using profanity. And I think that's one of those things for me. Like, I don't want someone to say that I cussed them out just because I said some kind of casual cuss word or whatever. So I just would rather not even use any language that anyone could hold against me at any time. So that's what it's like for me to be a perfectionist, is trying to not be a bad person. I think for me, thinking about, well, what does it mean to be a perfectionist? I'm like, well, someone who like keeps an Excel spreadsheet and like has to have everything perfectly clean and in order all the time, which arguably you could probably say that about me because I would refuse to go to bed with any dishes in the sink. And I refuse to even start my weekend without having already cleaned all the bathrooms in the house and taken out all the garbage. So I guess I'm just at odds with it. I just wonder, are there any other people out there watching this video who have these perfectionist tendencies, though you know you're not perfect and you never can be, and that you actually struggle with feeling like you're a good person and your goal is to not be perceived as a bad person, and therefore that kind of makes you a perfectionist? So again, from an Enneagram perspective, I'm an Enneagram 9, wing 8, but I have a 1 wing. And I think I'm at odds with it. I just don't want to identify as that, but yet in my denial of it, I ultimately prove that I have this perfectionist side. But I think as I've matured and I've grown up as a person, instead of being judgmental on other people, it's really just more on myself and regulating how I live so that I cannot be further condemned more than I condemn myself already for feeling like I'm a bad person and not a good person. Can you relate? I would love to hear from you in the comments right here.